You're listening to Texas Real Estate with Todd Tramonte, brought to you by the Patrick Glaros Mortgage Team, DP Lambert at Goose Insurance, and Stryker Roofing. And now your host, real estate broker, team leader, best-selling author, coach, consultant, and speaker, Todd Tramonte.
Welcome, folks. This is Texas Real Estate. I am Todd Tramonte. We've got a full studio today, plenty of items to cover. Is real estate still hot and heavy as we enter the holiday season? We'll answer that question for you. We'll answer any question you've got. Just call or text us right now at 214-310-0008, 214-310-0008. We'll take all your questions about all things residential real estate across the great state of Texas, especially questions about real estate here in the Dallas-Fort Worth and surrounding areas. A lot of questions lately about the desire to sell and buy before the end of the year. We're definitely at, if not very, very, very close to the kind of the last minute deadline here for someone to be able to make that move and be into something before the end of December. It is still possible with cash. It is still possible with the unique scenario. But we're having lots of conversations about early 2021 and real estate goals for 2021. Are you wanting to invest in 2021? Get a home purchased, get a home sold, save some money, make some money. Real estate offers all of those opportunities, and we're confident that 2021 will provide those as well. So 214-310-0008 if you've got questions you'd like to discuss, or if you just need a quick answer. You can call or text us now or anytime throughout the week, 214-310-0008. You can also go online to treradio.com. TRE is short for Texas Real Estate. That's treradio.com. We've got a full studio here today. We've got the English wonder, the Yanni Donnie, the man, the myth, the legend himself. Welcome, Ian.
Howdy.
Ooh, he starts off with a howdy. I believe that answers the question, folks. How English will you be today? With a howdy, not very. What do you say?
No, not very, but I'm filled with the spirit of Christmas, Todd. I
love that.
Got a lot of lights up over the last week or two.
I saw your Minion Christmas display.
Very Minions little Christmas.
Appreciate that. Do you guys have the evil elf out already?
Oh, you mean Snowflake? Mm-hmm. Oh, he's around.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he's around.
That's good to know. We've got the young MG, producer extraordinaire of all things audio, visual, and digital, if that is part or not part of the previous two. We've got the young MG, Mason Goss, in studio with microphone. Take it away.
I'm here. I made it.
All right.
Another day. Excellent.
Nailed it again.
It's always
folks.
a good contributor.
Nailed it again. Always unique, always thoughtful, insightful. Yeah. Really, that's the part you don't want to miss, folks.
I forgot to say thanks for having me, Todd.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
That's right.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure to have such a contributor. Really though.
He may be gone any week, though. We realize that.
Listen, Baby Goss could be here not any day, any minute.
Right. I think that was my point when I said I made it.
Right.
Is that I was a little bit surprised because the baby,
it's an achievement. It's an achievement. I'm not going to say your baby's name on air unless I know you're comfortable with that. But Baby Goss is any second here, folks.
I love that old show, I Love Lucy.
Yeah,
great show.
It was a great show.
Unrelated
Lucille
to
Ball,
that.
phenomenal actress, comedy genius. My favorite episode, just for the record, was the Vitamita Vegemin episode. If you haven't seen that one, you're going to want to YouTube it.
You've lost me on all of that stuff, but I will say that Middlesbrough did lose recently, so that's your update.
In your European football.
What?
Your European football minute turned into the European football second because it was bad news.
Yeah, it's just bad.
Middlesbrough's lost. Up the borough still? Up the borough.
Still got my coffee cup with my Middlesbrough stuff on it.
I've got my Walt Disney Vision mug today, and I feel pretty good about it. Hey, folks, if you've got questions, call or text those right now. 214-310-0008. And, of course, if you ever have real estate needs, thinking about buying, selling, or investing, you can reach out to the Todd Tramonte Home Selling Team. Just use that exact same phone number to call or text 214-310-0008 or head over online at overunderagent.com, where we do guarantee to sell your home over the average price and under the average time, both over the average price and under the average time guaranteed. And if you want a cash offer on your house, right? If you don't want to deal with getting the house ready for market and people coming to visit it, and you're willing to consider a slightly discounted offer, we would be thrilled to get you or make you a cash offer right away to close quickly on that as well. That's actually going to be a big emphasis in 2021. Unfortunately, there's a lot of fear in the marketplace. We'll talk about that more later in the show. But I think there's some people that are feeling like maybe they bit off a little bit more than they can chew, or they'd like to cash out of their house now and maybe reinvest those funds or get into something smaller or maybe something bigger. And if you're interested in a quick cash offer for your house, we'd be glad to do that. Just head over to overunderagent.com, overunderagent.com. And in the little comment section, just mention we'd be interested in a cash offer, or mention whatever else it is that we could do for you. Overunderagent.com. My team and I would love to take great care of you. We would be honored and consider it a privilege for you to trust us to deliver world-class value during a purchase, a sale, or an investment. Head over to overunderagent.com. And now I know we've got some questions coming in right now.
Well, one of the questions was, it actually stemmed from a couple of articles that I actually read, saw recently, that were very conflicting, right? So one of them said the DFW housing market is going to suffer a decline in 2021 because of how much it rose in 2020. The other one says it's going to continue to rise in 2021 despite how much it rose in 2020. So there's a lot of confusion, I think, for people out there as to whether or not it's going to be a good 2021 or a bad 2021.
Here's what I would like to do, right? If you're a longtime listener, I don't know, maybe even if you're a first-time listener of the Texas Real Estate Show, I would love for you to head over to our Facebook page. You can find us on Facebook at Texas Real Estate with Todd Tramonte, and just drop a comment and tell us what you think the real estate market is going to do in 2021. If you think the market is going to continue to rise, just let us know that. If you think the market is going to be negatively impacted, like the article Ian's referencing says, then let us know that as well. We'll do a little quiz. We'll survey the audience here. I'll tell you what I think. I think the articles and the pundits and the media folks that are saying it has to go down because it went up, they've been wrong for about 11 years in a row now, right? For 11 straight years, they've been saying, well, it's gone up so much, it has to come down.
I would argue probably even before that.
Well, they were wrong a lot before that, but they've been wrong about the same exact topic for 11 years in a row now. Maybe let's be generous and say 10, okay? They've been saying, well, last year was a good year.
It's the Christmas season.
Yeah, we'll round down in honor of people that only want clicks and listeners and don't care a whole lot about being accurate because there's no consequence to them for that, right? And that's not a personal shot on anybody. That's almost the entire media, but certainly if some people have been more thoughtful than that.
It's all about those clicks, Todd.
But that article, that tone basically says, well, things can't go up forever, so it's got to come down. So let's just go ahead and say it's going to go down next year. There's no reason that they're citing for that other than time's got to be up, right? Well, I'm trying to be humble here and not sound like I'm overconfident, but I felt like at the end of the summer of 2005 that we were going to begin to experience a slow and gradual return to a more normal market, right? That's kind of the closest I've come to saying something that was just like blatantly wrong. But what happened there is we saw actually middle of the summer of 2005, 2015. Let me revise that whole last statement. I thought in summer 2015, we would start to see a slow return to a more stable, normal market. And we actually saw it in the middle of that summer. And then we saw 2015, 16 were really good markets, but we did see the pace of growth starting to kind of slowly decline. And then we saw some outside economic factors and some things that really kind of put a shot in the arm of the economy. Now, I'm not going to say exactly what I think that was, because I think it was a lot of things. But there was tax cuts with President Trump. There were some outside economic impact. There was some sector growth in technology and the expansion of things like Amazon and the rise of it doesn't matter. There was some economic activity that began to create a positive wave that sort of rescued that slow return to normalcy into another rapid growth phase. And again, every single year people said, well, it can't last forever. Well, it can't last forever. Well, it can't last forever. And the reality is it's true that it can't last forever. But it's also true that all of the local economic data, all the local trends point us to the fact that it is going to continue in 2021, right? We have a lack of inventory. There's not enough houses for sale. Builders are building at a pretty solid pace, but they're not overbuilding the demand. So there is no inventory piling up. And we have incredibly low interest rates. And we have as close as you can get as a promise from the Federal Reserve, which doesn't directly dictate, but indirectly dictates mortgage rates, right? So we have almost a guarantee that rates are going to stay low for at least next year, if not through 2023. So all that data, and I know I'm going long here, but the point is there is no logical data, certainly not a critical mass of data that says the market's going to suffer. Now, let me make a quick point. This first segment's brought to you by our buddy Patrick Glaros over at Cardinal Financial. I've probably sent Patrick's information to 8 people this week. As people are starting to think about, man, should I didn't refinance this year. Maybe I should have. Hey, we're definitely going to buy next year. Let's get our ducks in a row. All of those people, the first mortgage person I'm recommending is the first mortgage person my wife and I call. And that's Patrick Glaros and his team over at Cardinal Financial. You can call them at 972-728-3420, 972-728-3420, or do what most of our friends and clients do and just go online to patrickglaros.com. That's Glaros, patrickglaros.com.
I had one of our team members come to me earlier this week and say, hey, I've got a client that's going to be selling their home here in DFW and they're going to be moving to Florida.
Yep.
Who should I tell them about mortgages? Like, who do I send them to? Do we have somebody down there that they can work with? And my first response was Patrick.
Yep.
Like, Patrick can still help them. He helped us in Florida.
He just helped you in Florida.
Like, I know he can help them, and it will be a great job. So go to valuethishouse.com to get your home valuation in less than 1 minute. Valuethishouse.com. It's going to give you an idea of what your home is worth, what it would sell for, what it would rent for. And if you want something a little bit more customized, just reach out to us, and we will take care of that for you.
Speaking of valuethishouse.com, within the last 24 hours, I've had one of our team members talking about how, I won't say who, but a fairly well-known local real estate agent was struggling with the value of her own house, and she signed up at valuethishouse.com to double-check her value because she knows it's a pretty darn good resource, right? So valuethishouse.com, if you're looking for a really, really good but quick estimate of your property's value. And then, like Ian said, if you're looking for a deeper dive, more thorough custom valuation, you can just reply to that email that it sends you and say, hey, can I get a custom valuation? And at that point, we'll have one of our Todd Tramonte home selling team expert local realtors reach out to you, get a little bit of information that's more custom, and then they can do a deeper dive valuation that factors in everything going on in the market.
It was within $4,000 on my own house.
Yep. Valuethishouse.com. Now, I know we have some other questions piling up, and I did mention at the beginning of the show that there's a lot of fear in the marketplace, and Ian just referenced one article. Another one is just, will the holidays negatively impact my purchase or sale? We'll get to that a little bit later, but I know we've got some questions to cover right now.
Yeah, when you move into a house, should you always change the locks? And is there anything else that you should do when you first move into a home?
Yes. My personal opinion is yes, you should always change the locks because the cost of changing the locks is minimal and the risk of someone having a key to your home is much higher than that. So, there's no law or hard and fast reason. I generally trust people, but when I think about protecting my family and I could change out 3-4 locks in the house for usually under $150, sometimes for free. If you're a client of ours, we can usually get that done for you for free, by the way. So go to overunderagent.com if you want to be a client of ours. But I don't think it's worth saving $75 or $100 to even worry about that, right? And again, I'm not just throwing money around, but if you're in position to be buying or selling a home, there are some additional costs other than just the cost of the house, and you should factor that in. And if you're going to buy a home, I think you should factor in changing the locks. And then to the other side of your question, what else should you do? I mean, this is a little bit more comical, but many of our clients want to either change out toilets or toilet seats because that's a little bit personal.
Sure.
And they feel like, someone else lived here for 20 years. I kind of don't want to share toilet seats with them. So that's one thing. I think People tend to check out the major systems in their home, like heating and air conditioning, things like that. I always recommend that people have Rodney Reinhardt at Reinhardt Service Company just come out and check out those major heating, air conditioning, and electrical systems. You can reach out to Reinhardt Service Company at 469-231-6411, or you can always find their information on our radio show website at treradio.com. That's Reinhardt Service Company. And I think you should always have your roof looked at, right? When you foundation and roof, plumbing, heating, electrical, foundation, and roof, right?
What about things like your garage door code and things like that?
So those should be checked by your inspector. Typically, those aren't going to fail as often as those other main systems. So I probably wouldn't always go beyond the home inspection, right?
Like safety-wise, like if you're going to change the locks, would you change the garage
if
codes?
There's a code,
like
yes.
that?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't follow you there. Yes, the keypad code. I would ask the previous owner for the paperwork or figure out how to change that. Certainly, if there's an alarm system, you're going to change all that up and change the code and things like that. But back to that other point about having your roof checked, I would certainly have Stryker Roofing do that. You can go to Stryker Builds, BUILDS, StrykerBuilds.com. They don't charge anything to come out and check that. So why not have that checked? Reinhardt Service Company won't charge anything for the initial check on the heating, air conditioning, and electrical system. So why not have them do that? And then I would have somebody come out and check the foundation every time I bought a home in North Texas, no matter what. Just during that home inspection period, I would have that done. If for some reason you didn't, I'd have that done as I was moving in. There's a couple of foundation companies that we could recommend. Just text us or call us, 214-310-0008. By the way, if you have other questions you'd like to get answered right now that we haven't covered on the show yet, just call or text those into us right now at 214-310-0008. That's 214-310-0008.
We're talking a lot about kind of what you would do as you're buying a house, because I found recently we're talking to a lot of folks that it's at the end of the year and they're thinking, hey, 2021 is going to be the year that we get to buy our very first home.
Yep.
Right, which is super exciting for people.
Right.
But they don't fully know all the little nuances that go into doing that.
And the reality is nobody does, right? I've bought and sold many, 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 many houses. And when I buy my next home, I will seek the advice of other professionals, right? Now, fortunately, we work together with a bunch of really amazing people, but I will say, hey guys, we got our eye on this one. Let me know what you guys think. Everyone in our office does that. Yep. You just bought an investment property in Florida and said, hey, will you mind looking at this for me?
Yep.
That's what intelligent adults do, right? Even in your area of expertise. The emotion of home buying, which is exciting, right? We all get excited. We start dreaming of who's going to sleep in what room and where we could throw parties and vacation that. And you need to stop and check that and have a true full-time professional say, I'm not emotionally attached to that. What's up with this thing over here? Where you're like, that's a good point, right? Yeah. So if you're
especially, I mean, a lot of times first-time home buyers are around my age, right? Kind of 25-ish, and the emotion can be a little bit, the logic needs to be there with their home purchase. And a lot of times when you do think about your first home, it's hard to separate the two.
Well, buying a home, owning a home is such a massive step forward for a family or an individual in your stability and putting down roots, and also building of wealth, right? Your financial future. Owning a home has been proven 95,000 times over. And I can think of 2 or 3 very popular talking heads right now that are actually telling people, especially millennials, not to buy homes. And I think what they're telling them is total garbage, because they're basically baiting you with, don't own your own home, only own cash flowing investment property. But they're totally ignoring, and I think they're blind to the reality of the stability and the health of owning a home and having permanent roots for your family, for your marriage, for your parenting, for your health, for your career, right? From a balance sheet perspective, some of what they're saying is accurate, right? That home that you own doesn't put money in your pocket every month, and owning an investment condo would. But the stability and the financial benefits that trickle out in your life, and we don't have time to talk about it on the show. We're actually going to be doing a workshop in February that's going to cover a lot of this. It's a kind of a private workshop for our clients and their friends. But that's one of the things that people can't find on the calculator, right? What are the other benefits of homeownership? Not the tax benefits, although those are real, and not the appreciation, although that's usually real. but how does this help me in other areas financially? And so to your point, when people are excited about that very first leap into the realm of homeownership, yes, we've got to check those emotions and help people make really wise choices.
I think this is a broader conversation about how people my age see the economy, and it's moving much more towards, Airbnb, Uber style, just rent everything. You don't own anything. And I think it's valuable for you to say, no, owning a home is actually something worth owning.
Right. And I know Ian's got a comment here, but to the other point that it's ironic, but we are seeing that millennial next generation simultaneously not care as much about large possessions, but maybe more than any generation in the past, care about meaning and purpose, right? So like, I want a job with meaning. I want a vehicle that means something to me. Like, it's more than just the financial analysis there. And that's where I think your own personal home that you have ownership and control over, and you control that environment, can speak to that purpose and meaning and impact in life way more than renting can. Go ahead.
We play a game on the team, right, where we do it, once or twice a year, really for the new people that come on and join us, and it's called Cash Flow. Robert Kiyosaki wrote the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, and it's the game based off of that, where you begin to see it doesn't matter what your job is or what your income is necessarily. It's all about, what do you do with the money that you've got? How are you investing it? And it's a game that shows that you can get, quote, in his words, out of the rat race.
Financially free,
debt free, and get to a point where you're making passive income. So income that is there every single month. So like if you have a rent home, a condo or something like that, it's the money that's coming from that, to try and get enough passive income to overtake what it is that you need on a monthly basis. And so like, we play that game so that people can begin to understand that, yes, there's always risk when it comes to investing, right? It's not risk-free, but real estate in a lot of ways is as close to being risk-free as you can possibly get when it comes to that.
And to the topic of so many people being excited about 2021 being the year that they buy their first home, now's the time to be asking these questions. We dedicate almost the entire month of January, all of our marketing specialists. Of course, we're still helping people buy and sell homes, but we take our afternoons in January and we dedicate them to what we call strategy sessions, where we're just having a cup of coffee or a Coke or glass of water or whatever, and just answering questions and talking to people about their dreams and their goals for 2021. So I've actually got a favor to ask of our listeners and our friends right now. If you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate at any point in 2021, I want you to go to overunderagent.com right now. And I want you to type in the comments, I'd like to sit down with a professional in January and just talk about my goals for real estate in 2021. It doesn't cost anything. You can swing by the office. We can sit down together. Or, of course, we can do that by Zoom or, virtual meeting or whatever. And basically, that's all about just having a conversation with you about what your goals are for 2021. Buying, selling, or investing, go to overunderagent.com. And we'll connect early in the year. Also, check out your property value at valuethishouse.com in less than 1 minute. Valuethishouse.com. Find out what your home would sell for or rent for in less than 60 seconds. We'll be back with more Texas real estate right here on WBAP.
Welcome back to Texas Real Estate with your host, real estate expert, team leader, and best-selling author, Todd Tramonte.
Welcome back, folks. Welcome back to Texas Real Estate with Todd Tramonte. We got a full studio here taking your questions at 214-310-0008. Call or text your questions right now. 214-310-0008. This segment of our show is brought to you by the boys over at Stryker Roofing. Really good group of ladies and gentlemen, but we have a great relationship with their ownership group. He's just a really impressive, fun group of people that really care for their team members as well as their clients. And if you have roofing needs, I want you to head over to StrykerBuilds.com. That's BUILDS, StrykerBuilds.com. We've had some rain lately. We've got a little frost in the forecast. You do not want a relatively affordable roofing problem to turn into a very expensive roofing problem. So if you hadn't had anybody up there in a while, or you think you might have had some previous hail or wind damage, head over to strikerbuilds.com and just make sure they know that Todd Tramonte or the Todd Tramonte home selling team sent you over there. Now, questions are coming in, and we've got plenty to cover from the last couple of weeks out in the world of residential real estate. All week, every week, we're running the Todd Tramonte home selling team, selling hundreds of people homes all over Dallas and Fort Worth and everything in between. And so we cover these topics in depth. And during the break, the feedback on our last segment about kind of the excitement around home ownership and planning for 2021, the feedback was really, really strong. So we wanted to continue that thought process as we made our way through the show here. But I did promise earlier in the show to talk about a lot of the negativity and the pessimism around the holidays, as well as our local market in 2021. So let's just address that real quick, and then we'll get back to the conversation about planning to make a move or do something in 2021. Number one, very quickly, statistically speaking, the holidays are actually a great time to sell your house. Home values hold really pretty darn well between Thanksgiving and Christmas and all the way through New Year's. The thing that happens that people interpret as negative in the market is overall market activity does go down, right? Less people buy and less people sell. But the people that are buying tend to be very serious buyers that want to get something done by the end of the year or in the short term. And the people that are selling tend to be very serious and highly motivated sellers that want to get something done by the end of the year or in the short term. So you have this really efficient, no nonsense market where serious, qualified, financially able buyers are buying from sellers who are ready to sell. So yes, percentage wise, we might see a 15% reduction in amount of activity, but home values tend to hold really firm on homes that are marketed well. And by the way, marketed well requires a really great agent and a responsible seller who will follow the lead of a great agent. And buyers, depending on where they are getting good, solid deals. Our buyers right now have been getting some great deals lately, and we can tell you some stories about that if you want. Just give us a call, 214-310-0008, or text us, 214-310-0008, or you can always go online to overunderagent.com. But in short, the holidays are not going to hurt you. I find that they are a very strategic time to both buy and sell, I think better than waiting till spring or summer. Now, there's nothing at all wrong with selling and buying in spring or summer. You just need to have an agent or a broker who will customize a strategy for you then. That's what we do at the Todd Tramonte Home Selling Team. We have a holiday season strategy. We have a late winter season strategy. We have a spring strategy. We have a summer strategy, and they're all different. So you just don't want to end up with one of those one-size-fits-all agents, and you're trying to work your summer strategy in late December or January. That's not going to go very well for you.
Is it still possible for somebody to sell this month and close by the end of the year?
It is possible. It's not highly likely, to be really honest with you, but someone whose financing is completely ready could possibly still borrow and close by December 31st. Somebody with cash could definitely still do that by December 31st. So, lots of things have to line up for a home to sell. Buyer's stuff has to get figured out. Right. Seller's stuff has to get figured out. Bank stuff has to get figured out. So, normally that's a 30-day process, which would mean it's too late. But there are scenarios where, again, with cash, that can very regularly be done in as little as, 10 to 15 days. With financing, 15 to 20 days is still tight but doable. So, we're right at the bubble of whether or not 2020 can still happen for folks. Give us a call if you want to make that happen. We could let you know within, 3 or 4 hours. We could check on those key things, and you could call and text us at 214-310-0008, 214-310-0008, or just go online to overunderagent.com.
I was reminded again this past weekend of how really fortunate we are to have the real estate industry that we do over here and how quickly homes close. My sister's trying to sell her house in England and move, and it takes like 3 months to do that.
It really is a completely different industry, and really most of the rest of the world. So, some of the southern parts of North America are somewhat similar to our market as far as agents and commissions and timetables and structure of transactions. Even within the United States, state by state, you might be using a title company or a closing attorney. Fees are slightly different. Expectations are different. But from a timetable perspective, when you're talking about England or Western Europe, it's a longer timetable. Agents tend to be compensated a little bit less, sometimes a lot less, but agents do a lot less.
Yeah, they don't do anything.
A lot. They're basically, well, and I'll be careful because I don't do it over there every day, but they are more similar to the closing attorneys that we have over here, basically processing out the final aspects of the deal. Not necessarily master marketers, not necessarily involved in strategic negotiation and positioning of a home, but basically access to a public forum and closing that out. And so it's just a murkier deal.
For sure. And the last thing I'll say, because we're going off topic, but even like showing homes, I didn't know this, but the agents will only show homes on a weekend.
Yeah.
So if you want to have weekday showings,
right,
the homeowner is the one that has to do that. So my sister's totally fed up because
right,
her house has been under contract twice. It's fell out twice. She's having to do showings herself, and she's fed up. And she keeps telling me like, "Gosh, I wish I had lived in America. I wish I could use you guys over there. Like I know what y'all do. It's so different."
Well, and what's funny is how often we hear that from people that do live here. Right. I live around the corner, and I used blah 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 big giant brokerage, and man, I wish I had used you guys. I do want to add one thing. This week, we have the Todd Tramonte home selling team, right? And I run that team all week, every week. And I also have a coaching and consulting company where we're training real estate agents all over North America, United States and Canada, almost every day, multiple times per week, all throughout the year. And we host small training events and large training conferences, and then weekly training coaching calls and conversations. And in the last week, we've talked about the unique privilege of having a system like ours and like the one we train agents around the country on, because even those agents are looking around at other agents in their market and like, man, this is just an unfair advantage to have this 7-step proprietary marketing system, to have this unique buyer system, to train agents to truly be world-class dedicated experts. It's almost unfair to those other agents in the market. Now, of course, it's not unfair because they could get the same training, but the results that we're able to get for clients is a lot of fun, and it's not even close to what traditional agents get.
Well, 2 quick stories for you on that note. So one came right here within our team. So Rebecca joined us to work with the consulting side of the business. And I was talking to her and explained to her that proprietary system, and her mind was blown. She was just like, that adds so much value. So that was really cool for her to hear all of that. And then we recently worked with a couple out in Rowlett. John on our team, John Kaneker on our team, had worked with this couple in Rowlett, and they had a number of investment properties, but they were selling their personal one. And they listened to another radio host, and this radio host had given them a number of different agents, and they talked to all those agents, completely underwhelmed by what they had heard. Well, he listens to this show and decided, I'm also going to go and reach out to Todd's team. And he met with John. I'm trying to think. I think I may have talked to them as well. But they met with John and was just blown away by everything that John had to say. And so they ended up working with John. And then in the break, we were just talking about NFL wide receivers and how DK Metcalf is like just an animal out there right now. Just amazing. So strong, so tough. Well, John was basically the DK Metcalf of real estate in this one right there. They got a low offer on the property to begin with, and John said, no. John went back with an aggressive counter offer over the listing price, and the buyers accepted everything that John said, because John was like, this is what it needs to be. And they were blown away with it.
Instead of DK, JK, John Kaneker.
JK, there you go. Just amazing. Great job, John.
Well, and let me expand on that, because we do this big pie event for our clients, and I saw this client come in and get their pie, and they were just like gushing about how amazing John is, which I've known for years, and I want more and more people to know how amazing our team members are. We don't hire people just because they got a license. We hire people because they have a unique set of skills and a passion for serving other people, right? That sounds cheesy, but it's true. We hire people whose trophies, whose big wins are when they knock it out of the park for the client. That's the fuel to the fire around here. Now, I've had agents tell me that what John did there is illegal. Like, you can't do that. You can't ask something and then counter even more than you're asking. And of course, that's not true. You absolutely can do that. And on the right property with the right client at the right time, that's actually the better strategy.
Yep.
And John is the master of that strategy, right? I've taught him everything I know. And then John's doing better than anything I've ever taught him quite often with some of these clients. And in that scenario, can you imagine being that client, right? You've been misled. You've been underwhelmed and disappointed by other, better known people than me, celebrity radio, TV people telling you to use an agent that disappointed you.
Right.
And then you trust John and he tells you, oh, we got an offer that's not exciting, but I can actually counter to more than we were even asking. And I can communicate why that's a reasonable counteroffer. And they straight up accepted it. They just said, yeah, you're right. Well, we agree. And then it closed and funded. This isn't just like maybe pie in the sky. Nope. This happened. And the client comes by to pick up their giant 8-pound free pie and is like telling me, hey, Todd, I don't think you know how good John is. This guy's amazing. I'm like, I know, I get it, but tell me more,
Yeah.
So true story. And it could be you too. If you're thinking about selling a home in 2021 or any time in the future, you really owe it to yourself to go to overunderagent.com right now. In the comments, just let us know. Even if you're not thinking about selling until late 2021 or 2022, just connect with us and say, hey, I would love to have an experience like that. Let's start the conversation. Again, in January, we dedicate almost every afternoon in January during the week to having just casual, comfortable conversations about, hey, what are your goals? What would you like to achieve? And then we can start to give you some tips and some steps to follow to get your ducks in a row for right away or a couple of months or a couple of years down the road. Doesn't matter. But the sooner we start talking, the sooner we can start to plan and get you ready to have a home run transaction, to break a record, to put a ton of money in your pocket without a ton of stress and frustration, and really honestly enjoy the process so that someday you can stop by for a pie and casually laugh about how enjoyable that process was. Now, we're not going to say the name of that other famous personality, but I do want to point this out. One of the things they kind of claim to fame on is that they recommend agents who are caring and passionate folks. And I'm not going to say that's not true. I'm just going to say we continue to get a lot of feedback that hasn't been people's experience. I will tell you that the people we hire here, we hire based on their desire to serve other people. And of course, their intellect and their work ethic and all those things. And I've always said, I'll stand behind them till the day we shut this thing down. And if anyone ever has an experience that's not consistent with that, I will personally be the one solving those problems and handling it. And that is such an unbelievable rarity. It just makes me really proud of Jeremy and John and Leah and Brandon and Ryan and David and our staff and everyone here at our team.
Mason.
So if you're interested in buying, selling, investing, or even just maintaining your home in 2021, I want you to go right now to overunderagent.com. Fill out that very simple, quick little form. And in the comments section, just let us know. Thinking about buying late 2021, thinking about selling, might want to invest this year, just looking for information. That's all fine. There's no rush. But we spend January helping people clarify and get more details and specifics and answers about, is that a good plan? Is that a good timeline? Are there opportunities? Are there some threats? So take advantage of one of those free consultations. We just call it a strategy session in January 2021 by going to overunderagent.com. That's overunderagent.com right now.
What credit score is an ideal credit score? And is there a credit score that's too low?
An ideal credit score is a perfect credit score in the 800s. And yes, credit, depending on what you want to do with the credit score, there's a lot of credit scores that are too low. Now, Dave Ramsey, national, worldwide financial guru, he encourages his students to have a 0 credit score. Now, here's why. He encourages them not to use credit. He encourages them to pay cash for everything. And if you did that, you would probably have no credit score because
right.
you didn't establish that you were credit worthy, right? That when you borrow, you pay it back. That's what your score is. It's saying, hey, here's this person's score on when they borrow, they pay it back. Now, a 0 credit score is too low if you want to borrow money.
Right.
But it's not too low if you have no interest in ever borrowing money. So clearly it depends. But, in the real estate world, you want to be in the 700 or 800s to get the very best terms when you're borrowing money to buy a home. The higher, the better, right?
Well, I think Patrick was telling us one time that up to a certain, like, you can almost max out like where it helps you, but beginning like the 600s, every 20 points you go up, right, you get better and better rates and things
those
like that.
And those ranges change as credit scores and credit ranges change, and scoring, the ratings agencies change things all the time. But yes, if you're high 6s, you're going to be able to borrow money to buy a house. If you're anywhere in the 7s, you're going to be able to borrow money, but the higher you are, 780 is a lot better than 720. And if you're into the 800s, that's where 820 versus 800, it's already so good it almost doesn't really matter for a residential mortgage purchase. But it just depends on what you want out of how you want to use your credit worthiness. But those are some ranges that ought to give people a pretty good identification. Now, when we went to the break, the feedback on our discussion about excitement around first-time home buying was really, really high, and we sort of promised that we would kind of cover the other side of that. What does it look like to be selling, not necessarily just for the first time, but what would it look like to be selling in 2021, and what's some of the excitement around that? So if there were some specifics, let me know. Otherwise, we'll just cover the whole topic.
Yeah, no, there was. And before I tell you that, though, I'm going to tell you about valuethishouse.com. So go over to valuethishouse.com so you can see what your home would sell for or what it would rent for coming up in 2021, right? What it would be right now. You're going to get updates on that. And if you want something more customized, just reach out and let us know, and we'll take care of that for you. It's going to give you a confidence rating. So if you see that confidence rating and it's a little lower than you would think, reach out to us, just say custom valuation. We'll give you a call, get some more details, and we'll go from there. One of the questions specific to this idea, the idea of selling, was to do with when I bought my house, it was worth X. Now it's worth Y. Is there a number that makes sense to sell on in terms of profitability, right? And I think that number changes depending on whether or not it's within the 2 years, because you get obviously tax breaks within that. But is there if somebody's like happy with where they're living, is there still a number that's like, no, I mean, if you're going to make more than this, then it probably is worth it?
Well, no, there isn't, because everyone's number is different. But I think we're all sort of having that mental calculation all the time, which is why you should be a regular over at valuethishouse.com and get a good read on what your house is worth in the current market. It's obviously going up and down all day long. I could do a 2-hour training, and I have in the past, on price elasticity. Mm-hmm. The market's always moving. Are they building a brand new Walmart in the front of your neighborhood? Are they building a landfill, or are they building a hospital? All those things would change your property value. Is the school district ratings going up or going down? Are they tearing up the water main in front of your house? Does the neighbor have their neighbor house just burned down? Do they have 4 loud dogs? Your property value is moving around all the time, up and down and up and down. It's elastic. It's bending all different ways.
Did you just win a yard of the month or something?
Did you potentially win yard of the month like Ian did that one time that he'll never stop talking about?
Values go up.
But the point I make with that is everyone's number is different, right? If you own a home and you've got $80,000 of equity, and that $80,000 is more valuable to you paying off debt, buying a boat, whatever, than it is in your home, then you probably, that's a number that you're like, man, it's 80 now. We ought to just let's sell it and get that money out, right?
Real quick on the boat thing, that's the one thing in cash flow that you do not want is is it called a woodad, or what is it called? Doodad of the buy a boat. Yeah.
Ian keeps talking about it. It's one of the favorite days every year where we sit down together as a team and we play Robert Kiyosaki's game, cash flow. There's a cash flow 101. There's a cash flow 202. We typically play cash flow 101. It's great for people who are playing for the first time. It's even better for people that are playing for the third, fourth, fifth time. It reminds you of core basic financial principles that exist in the world around investment, home ownership, business ownership, and simply managing income and expenses. So it's a really, really fun game. Too bad we don't have a sponsorship, because we've talked about it twice on this one show now. But I think the point you're making is it helps you think about
it does.
How money moves a lot better. So no, there's not an exact number, but I mean, you might be sitting on $5 million of equity, but for you, that's the most valuable place to have that equity. There's just no place you'd rather go.
Sure.
I think this conversation really crops up, and it will here in about 60 days when people really start thinking about their property tax valuation and protesting their taxes. And it's like, well, man, my taxes keep going up and up and up, and my equity goes up and up and up, but so does the cost of staying here. It's getting more expensive just to stay in my house. So maybe I'm going to take that money and go run to a more affordable home or cash out or whatever, right? So I have conversations with people all the time about they want to get into investing and they have a lot of home equity and they want to know, should I take this equity out and buy a second home? Well, that might affect your cash flow and things like that. So anyway, we have those conversations all the time. If you'd like to have that conversation with a full-time dedicated real estate expert here at the Todd Tramonte Home Selling Team, call or text 214-310-0008. Now listen, just save this phone number in your cell phone. And anytime you have a real estate question, just, call Todd, text Todd, call the Todd Tramonte team at 214-310-0008. 214-310-0008. You can call or text us right now or anytime, day or night, 214-310-0008. And of course, you can always go online 24 hours a day to overunderagent.com. Kind of a funny website name, but that's because we do guarantee to sell your home over the average price and under the average time. So it's overunderagent.com. You might have heard Sean Hannity or Barbara Corcoran or Bonnie Curry or Chris Kroc talking about that. It's always the same promise. We guarantee to sell your home over the average price and under the average time. And if you'd like a cash offer on your home, we would be glad to make a cash offer from us or to get you a cash offer from a local investor who's almost always going to pay you more than one of these nationwide website deals. And you're going to have a local person take care of that home and either remodel it or rent it or sell it to another person or family that's going to take good care of it and be a great neighbor. So if you're thinking about selling, buying, investing, or just getting some information about real estate for any move you want to make in 2021 or beyond, it is totally free, and I encourage you to start right now. There's no such thing as too early, but there's definitely such thing as too late. So head over to overunderagent.com right now. And in the comments section, just say, I'd like to have a conversation. I'd like to sit down. I have questions about investing. I'm thinking about selling. We want to know how much money we could get for our house. Any of those things, just put them in the comment section. It's totally free, and we would love to help put you at ease, answer your questions, help you gain clarity around any of your real estate goals for 2021. Do that right now at overunderagent.com, where we guarantee to sell your home over the average price and under the average time, and we guarantee to save home buyers at least $5,000 throughout the purchase process. Overunderagent.com. We'll be back next week with more Texas real estate on WBAP. AP.